Good morning, my fellow yogic travelers. I'm mighty glad to be alive today, and I hope that you are too, as we continue to live, laugh, love, learn, linger, and live the life we love. It's Thursday, so it's my short story day. Once there was a musk deer who was enthralled by this fantastic smell. I wonder, where's that smell coming from? So the musk deer went to his grandmother. He said, "Granny, where's this wonderful smell coming from?" He says, "Oh, you're smelling that smell, are you? Well, maybe it's coming from the four-legged fur creatures. Why don't you go check it out?" So the deer went through the forest and went to all the four-leggeds who were furred, and went to the antelope, and went to the bear, went to the porcupine, smelled them well, went back to Grandma. "No, it's not coming from the furred ones." He says, "Very interesting. Why don't you go and check the feathered ones out? Maybe the birds are there." So off the musk deer went and sniffed the robin, and sniffed the crow, and sniffed the raven, sniffed the eagle, all the birds who had feathers, and came back to Grandma. "Sorry, Grandma, not coming from the birds." Interesting. "Maybe it's coming from the finned ones." So the musk deer went down to the local lake and sniffed the carp, and sniffed the bass, and sniffed the yellowtail, and came back to Grandma. I've sniffed all the fin ones. It's not coming from the furred or the feathered or the fins." I said, "Interesting. Why don't you sniff your own belly button?" So the musk deer turned and, "It's coming from me. It's coming from me." Well, I guess that's the whole idea behind the answers lie within, isn't it? All right, my disappointing affirmation, friends, here you go. Accept yourself for the hot mess you really are. That ought to do it. We're going to keep those affirmations going before the end of the summer. People are having anxiety separation anxiety if I stop the disappointing affirmations. So they get hooked on them as much as the people with toxic positivity get hooked on that. All right, so my journal writing friends, what is your spiritual autobiography? What would it contain? Which paths, which practices, which ideas have you engaged in for guidance, for clarity, for wisdom? How has it affected your lifestyle? Let me know what's going on for you. I'll be glad to share my own version of that. Now, my own teacher, BKS Iyengar, was a traditionalist in a certain way, and his study of the Upanishads echoed the difference between Shreyas and Preyas. Shreyas is the good life, where you do that which is good for your well-being and for your spiritual growth, which requires certain kind of effort and discipline. Whereas Preyas is more like the sensory life, what's pleasant, what feels good, what's gratifying in the moment, what gives you satisfaction immediately, and not anything you have to wait for in time. And there's nothing wrong with that, except it leads you down a very, very different path. So ask yourself, am I leading the good life or the pleasant life? Now, my aging process has taught me to minimize comparing notes about bodily breakdowns with my older friends, or disappointments about how life has turned out, any kind of useless complaining or amusements that distract me from my deeper contemplative life. It's no wonder that older people say, "Oh, another 30, 40 years? I don't want to live that long." It's like that's a sentence instead of a reward. Now, we're all going to face inadequacies. We all have blows to our self-esteem. We all have stress that causes us to falter. But take heart, because I've learned it doesn't mean that any of us are less as a human being, less capable, less strong, just as we were before these things happened. So do what you need to do, and don't be so proud. Ask for help if you need it. Now, trickster energy, the shape-shifting energy, is so important to have because one of its greatest aspects is it teaches you irreverence. There's something divine about irreverence when you see through bullshit and pomposity. Very, very important, so you not get caught by flim-flam charlatans. And if you take your religious teachings too seriously, you have a blind side. So you see enough trickster to see through the bullshit, but if you're possessed by the bullshit, by the trickster, instead of just having access to it, you have a hard time finding some solid ground to stand on or to do anything from, because the trickster deconstructs everything, pokes holes in everything, sees through everything. There's nothing to believe anymore. So to redeem yourself from Too much trickster, spend time in silence. Letting go of all the images, letting go of all thought forms. Complete self-nodding. Egolessness, you could say. Because that's the universe where you get to find a certain kind of sacrament of grace. Just by existing. Just living is holy. Just to be is magnificent. And then you'll understand why we say that the problem with all religious teachings is the different concepts that they have. Yeah, concepts. Ideas instead of direct experience. So, my friends, life is direct experience. Like I say, you get on the mat and you have a direct experience, and then you realize life is direct experience. So apply your attention to everything, and especially when it comes to how we look at our fellow human beings. I say, as much as possible, because there's always, what's wrong is always available, take delight in the magnificence of other people to the extent that you can. Beat the drum of magnificence. Be happy for their successes. Look at the way they love life. Honor them for the way they love life, instead of trying to correct or inhibit people. And then you'll find that deeper currents, aided by your own subconscious mind, which doesn't make mistakes here, will draw people to you at the right time, in the right place, in the right way. So just affirm that that is so, and you'll see what a difference it makes in your life. Okay, on Friday night from 6 to 8, I'll be at Chai Yoga for the second in a series of 3 Dharma talks called Inoculation Against Nihilism. We all have to learn better ways to deal with the haters and the naysayers. From 6 to 8, come and join us. There'll be a social afterwards, and you can hang out with the community and increase your connection to those people who are like-minded. And then on Saturday, I'll be at Yoga View in Wilmette from 1 to 4 for a one-day workshop called Aging and Conscious Radiance. So come on and come there and continue to learn more about the beauty of aging and how you can still let your light shine as you get older. Have a great day.